Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivardhari Asuranana Badidana Ranjana Asuranana Badidana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivardhari Asuranandana Badidana Ranjana Asuranandana Badidana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupadaya 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 Prabhupada 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 Prabhupadaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Visnupriya Prabhupada Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Guru Pamanandi, Ogles Samravadis, Ogles Samravadis, Ogles Samravadis, Ogles to Shigu and Shigranga. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Conversation between Manu and Kadama, text number 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's give us a moment. So today is a very busy day on the Vaishnav calendar. We have Vasanta Pancami, Sarasvati Puja, Srila Raghunatha Das Gosvami appearance, Srimati Visnupriya, Devi appearance day, it's wife of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur disappearance, Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi appearance, Sri Raghunandana Thakur appearance. So I'm going to just try to touch on each of them, but we'll just start with the Bhagavatam verse today. And of course, so many books have been written about all these events, personalities. You could speak for them for hours. We've got about half an hour, so we'll do what we can. So today's verse, text 19. Eka swayam sanjakata shishrikshaya Dvitiya yatman adiyoga mayaya Srishyatya pasi punagrashishase Yatonanabhi bhagavan swashaktibi Ekasvayam sanjagata shishikshaya Dvitiya yatman hadiyoga mayaya Srishyada pasi punagrashishase Yatonanabhi bhagavan swashaktibi Ekasvayam sanjagata shishikshaya Dvitiya yatman hadiyoga mayaya Srijasyada pasi punagrashise Yatonanabhi bhagavan swashaktibi Ekasvayam sanjagata shishikshaya Dvitiya yatman adiyoga mayaya Vijasyare pasipona grashishase Yatonanabhi bhagavan swashaktibi. Someone else? Ekasvayam sanjagata shishikshasya. Thank you. Dvitiya yatman adiyoga mayaya Shishyada pasi punagrashishase Yatonanabhi bhagavan swashaktibi. Ladies. Ekasvayam sanjagata shishikshaya Trijitya Yatman Yadi Ogamaya Sijasyada Pasipana Grashishyase Yatonanapi Bhagavan Shashaktivi Ekaha, one, Swayam, yourself, Sun, being, Jagataha, the universes, Shishikshaya, with a desire to create, Advityaya, without a second, Atman, in yourself, Adi, controlling, Yogamaya, by Yogamaya, Srijashi, you create, Adaha, those universes, Pasi, you maintain, Punaha, again, Grashishyase, you will wind up, Yata, like, Ernanabihi, a spider, Bhagavan, O Lord, Swashakti bihi, by its own energy. Translation Prabhu of Zangasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shuddhabhadi Ki Jai. Mighty Lord, you alone create the universes, O personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes. You create them, maintain them, and again wind them up by your own energies, which are under the control of your second energy called Yogamaya. Just as a spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and again winds it up. Of course, this is Kadama Muni offering prayers here. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, two important words nullify the impersonalist theory that everything is God. Here Kadama says, O personality Godhead, you are alone, but you have various energies. The example of the spider is very significant. Also, the spider is an individual living entity, and by its energy it creates a cobweb and plays on it, and whenever it likes it winds up the cobweb, thus ending the play. When the cobweb is manufactured by the saliva of the spider does not become impersonal. Similarly, the creation and manifestation of the material or spiritual energy does not render the creator impersonal. Here the very prayer suggests that God is sentient and can hear the prayers and fulfill the desires of the devotee. Therefore, he is Satchidananda Vigraha, the form of bliss, knowledge, and eternity. So it's interesting here that Kadama says, you alone create universes, O personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes. But in the very next verse, Kadama says, my dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements. So what is it? Is it his desire? Is it not his desire? So it's happening, so it's somebody's desire. So whose desire is it? Whose desire is it? It's ours. Krishna is reciprocating of our desire to try to enjoy, Kadama Muni says, for our sensual satisfaction. So that's exactly what it is. Krishna doesn't want us here in the material world trying to lord it over all we can survey and try to be the master over everyone and everything, but he doesn't interfere with our free will. If it's our desire, he unwillingly creates. So even though Kadama Muni says desiring to create, it's not Krishna's desire. He's reciprocating with our desire. And similarly, if we want to wind this whole repeated birth and death business up and go back home to Godhead, he'll reciprocate with that also. So it's important to understand that, some people say that, well, if there is a God, why is there so much suffering going on? So it's an interesting question. It's one that, religious teachers have struggled with, philosophers have struggled with. since the very beginning. But it's quite a simple understanding. It's not that Krishna awards us with that suffering, but some people choose to live in darkness, basically. And when we're living in darkness or ignorance, then we're under the law of karma, law of action and reaction. So if one is living in ignorance, then one is bound to break the laws of, like the laws of Dharma, and therefore there's some reaction there. But ultimately it's still for our benefit. And this whole point of blaming God, well, you know, if somebody is breaking the law, stealing, speeding, whatever it is, breaking the law, and they get arrested, they're put before the judge, they're put into jail. So whose fault is it? Is it the police's fault? Is it the judge's fault? Is it the government's fault? Whose fault is it? It's the individual who broke the law. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to understand, but nobody wants to accept responsibility. We want to blame other people. So it's also, like Prabhupada starts this purport, in this verse, two important words nullify the impersonalist theory that everything is God. Did anybody pick those two important words? I studied this verse for a long time. I'm still not sure if I've got the right two words. But in the verse, Kadama says, desiring to create these universes, you create them, maintain them, and wind them up by your own energy. So that seems to be what Prabhupada is saying. These two words, your own energies. Prabhupada paraphrases that by saying, but you have various energies. So Krishna is not impersonal, he's not by himself, but he has many, many energies. And by that creation, of course, Krishna himself doesn't create his expansions. The other three Purushas are the one who are actually doing creation, and also Brahma being the secondary creator. But he uses the example of the spider, that the spider is creating a web, but it's not that the spider disappears in the oneness of the web. That the spider and the web are two different things. So he can create the web and he can wind that web up, but he doesn't disappear in the process. So similarly, Krishna, Lord Vishnu, when they do the creating, they don't disappear, they don't become impersonal, which is an understanding by some less intelligent sort of persons, philosophers, religionists, etc. Just want to leave time to just touch on these other personalities. So that's the main points that I sort of came up with. Maybe I'll go back to that if I have time afterwards. So these different events, personalities on the Vaishnava calendar. The first one, Vasanta Pancami. What is Vasanta Pancami generally understood to be? First day of spring, and normally, at least in Vrindavan, the deities are dressed in yellow. So somebody dropped the ball here, they're in red today. But anyway, I think it was last year they were dressed in very nice yellow sets. But so particularly in Vrindavan, first day of spring, the deities are dressed in yellow. And on the Vaishnava calendar, it's the 5th day of the waxing moon, the month of Magh, that's today on the Vaishnava calendar. So celebrate the coming of spring, and the Brajabasis, they would come before the deity, and they offer all sorts of types of leaves and flowers and fresh shoots of sprouting grasses, symbolising new life, new growth. And it's the beginning of harvest on Vasanta Pancami. That's when agricultural villages, this is when they start their harvest. And Sarasvati Puja, of course Sarasvati is the goddess of learning. So quite often, at least in the Hindu tradition, the parents might do some special puja to Sarasvati to bless their children so that they'll become great scholars or students. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 16.3, we hear that long live Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Kishora age, both the goddess of fortune and the goddess of learning, Saraswati, worshipped him. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, worshipped him in his victory over the scholar Keshava Kashmiri, who had conquered all the world, and the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, worshipped him at home. Since he is therefore the husband or lord of both goddesses, I offer my obeisances unto him. So of course, when Keshava Kashmiri, the Digvijay Pandit, he came to Navadvip to conquer, philosophical conquer over the scholars. And so, but Lord Chaitanya, as a young boy, Nimai Pandit, met Keshava Kashmiri just in a more isolated place. He didn't want to humiliate Keshava Kashmiri, but the end result that Nimai Pandit, he defeated Keshava Kashmiri. But that night, Keshava, he was worshipping, offering prayers to his worshipable deity, Saraswati. How could you allow me to be defeated by this young boy? And Saraswati, she appeared in his dream and said, actually, he's not simply a young boy, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So tomorrow you should go and surrender to his lotus feet, which he did. And with the blessings of Nimai Pandit, Lord Chaitanya, he became a great Vaishnava scholar himself. And also it mentions here, worshipped by the goddess of fortune. This was his wife, of course. Lakshmi Devi worshipped him at home. So that's Saraswati Puja. Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami appearance, born, of course he was one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. He was born around 1428, disappeared 1504. I'm not really going to go through the whole life of each of these. I'm just touching on significant events that occurred during their life. So Srila Raghunatha Das Goswami compiled following books: Davavali, Dana Charita, Mukti Charita, and many others. He used to reside on the bank of Radha Kund, and at that time Radha Kund, Shama Kund were just 2 little puddles almost, like large puddles. They hadn't been developed like they are now. So, and sometimes Raghunatha in his meditations, he was thinking it would be so nice to have the money to develop this Radha Kund, Shama Kund. And then he chastised himself, well, I don't have money, so I'm just daydreaming, what am I doing? So, but nevertheless, the desire was there. And around that time, a very wealthy Vaishya businessman, he was great austerity, walking up to Badrinath, up to the Himalayas, and he offered so much wealth to the presiding deity there, Sri Badranayana. And that night he had a dream that Sri Badranayana said, you should go down to Vrindavan and meet Raghunatha Das Goswami and offer your wealth to him. So the next morning, that Vaishya, with great happiness, having that direct instruction from Sri Badranayana, he went down to Vrindavan and met Raghunatha Goswami. And actually, Badranayana, in that dream, he said, if the Goswami declines to accept this money, then you can mention my name and remind him about renovating Radha Kund and Shama Kund. So the Vaishya was very happily and joyfully went off to Braj. And so Raghunatha Das Goswami, obviously very surprised, out of nowhere, this rich merchant is coming, offering so much wealth to develop Radha Kund, Shama Kund. Because of course he gratefully accepted it immediately, and with that wealth, he developed Radha Kund, Shama Kund as we know it today. So Raghunatha Das Goswami, performing great austerity, lived on the banks of Radha Kund. At that time it was not developed, just jungles with very wild animals everywhere. And one time Raghunath, he was just meditating on the bank of Radha Kund, and nearby there was some tigers that come down and they were drinking water, and Sanatana Goswami saw that. But he also saw that nearby Raghunatha Das Goswami, Krishna was standing and they were guarding him. So Sanatan, he sort of mildly chastised Raghunatha, says, we are the servants of Krishna. We don't accept service from Krishna. So you're putting Krishna into difficulty because he has to protect you from the tigers. So build yourself a hut so you're sort of protected. So that was his instruction. So later, Raghunatha, he still hadn't built his hut. He was meditating on the bank of Radha Kund in the midday sun, very, very hot. And another Goswami saw that Radharani was actually standing over him with her sari to protect him. And he noticed that just perspiration was pouring off Radharani's body. So he was chastised again, build yourself a hut. So at that point, he immediately complied and, said, you're accepting service from Radha and Krishna. We offer service, not accept. So Raghunatha Das Goswami, he counted himself as a maidservant of the servants of Radharani. Sometimes it's said that he was either Rasamanjari or Ratamanjari in Krishna Leela. So in Prabhupada mentions Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anchalila 6.294, purport, Lord Chaitanya worshipped the Govardhana Shila, considering it non-different from Krishna. Later, he gave that Govardhana Shila to Raghunatha Das, accepting him as one of his most confidential servants. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, worship this stone in the mode of goodness, like a perfect Brahman, for by such worship you will surely attain ecstatic love of Krishna without delay. Okay. Srimati Visnupriya Devi, appearance day. So as we know, Lord Chaitanya, he married twice. The first, Lakshmi Priya, and she passed away after some time. And then he married again Visnupriya. So she is the eternal consort of Sri Guru Sundara, and according to Sri Guru Ganesh Tapika, she is directly Satyabhama in Krishna's Dwarka Leela. So she was the ideal of divine self-surrender at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu when she was only 14. I think she married very young, like 8 years old, but she stayed in her own house for some years, and then eventually, maybe 12 or something, went to live with Lord Chaitanya. But at 14, Mahaprabhu took sannyas. So basically she became a widow. And after that, she lived the rest of her life in penance. From early morning, she would chant Hare Krishna mantra, and every time she chanted a mantra, she had a big bowl of rice. She would take one piece of rice and put it into a bowl. So each mantra. And by the end of the day, chanting all day, whatever rice was there, that's all she ate. That was her penance. So in that way she passed the rest of her life. Sometimes it's said that she lived to about 80, some people say 96, so lived quite elderly actually. So that was her. She was constantly focused on serving her Lord in separation. So before taking sannyas, however, Lord Chaitanya made a wooden deity of himself, which became known as Dhameshvara Mahaprabhu, and this deity was worshipped by Visnupriya for the rest of her life. Who has seen Dhameshvara Mahaprabhu in Navadvip? 2 people. Yeah, very beautiful deity, very tall, about 7 foot tall, whatever that is in metres, but maybe 2 metres tall, quite tall, and yellow, golden coloured. And he's holding his hands out in blessing like that. Yeah, so very beautiful deity. So he's the deity's still worshipped in Navadvip. So Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur disappearance. So he appeared in 1638. He's one of the previous acharyas coming after the Goswamis. So appeared in 1638, disappeared in 1708. Sri Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur came in the disciplic succession after Sri Narottam Das Thakur. Visvanatha took Diksha or initiation from Sri Radha Raman Chakravarti, and he came to Vrindavan Dham and did Krishna Bhajan at Radha Kund. He is known as the crest jewel of the Vaishnavas because of his pure devotion, scholarship, and realised perception of Radha Gokulananda's intimate conjugal pastimes. Among all Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas, only Vishwanath Chakravarti comes close to matching Srila Rupa Goswami's profound realizations on the absolute truth. Vishwanath Chakravarti name itself implies his position. Visvanatha means he who reveals the jewel of devotion to Sri Krishna, the Lord of the universe, and Chakravarti means he who expands the circle of bhakti. According to some Vaishnavacharyas and many of his disciples, there is some idea that Vishwanath Chakravarti was actually an incarnation of Rupa Goswami, but whether that's actual or not, but that's the opinion of some of the acharyas and his disciples, just based on his moods and his very deep learning of understanding of bhakti. Visnupriya Chakravarti Thakur wrote over 40 Sanskrit books on the science of pure devotion at Radha Giridhari. So at one time he was writing the Mantrata Deepaka, which is an explanation on the Karma Gayatri. So those who have second initiation, the Karma Gayatri is the last one that we chant. And according to his research, indicated that Krishna has 25 moons on his body. But Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Karma Gayatri contains 24 and a half syllables, and that these syllables correspond to 24 and a half moons present on Krishna's transcendental body. So there's some confusion there, 25, 24, 24 and a half. So he was really trying to understand what is the truth of that. And one night he had a dream. Srimati Radharani herself appeared to Vishwanath, says, please don't lament anymore. When Krishnadas Kaviraj, what Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote is true. He is also my confidential maidservant, and he knows everything about my most secret innermost moods. This Karma Gayatri is the mantra for worshipping me. Indeed, I can be known by the syllables of this mantra. Without my mercy, no one can learn anything about the mystery of this mantra. So the solution to this half syllable, so this was Srimati Radharani speaking in the dream still. The solution is the half syllable. To the half syllable is found in the book Vanagam Bashvati. Seeing this book, Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote as he did. The letter Ya, which is followed by the letter V, as in the words Karma Devaya Vidmahe. So that's the beginning of the Karma Gayatri. Karma Devaya Vidmahe. Karma Devaya Vidmahe is considered to be a half syllable. This falls on Krishna's forehead because his forehead is shaped like the halo of a half moon. All the other letters of the mantra are full syllables and therefore full moons. So the question is, where are the 24 moons on Krishna's body? Anybody like to guess? Yes. Was that a hand up? Anybody know where are the 24 moons on Krishna's body? Well, there's only one half moon on the forehead, the others are full moons. Yeah. So Krishna's toenails and fingernails represent effulgent full moon, so that's 20. Straight away we've got 20. So the other 4, anybody know? So 2 cheeks, that's 22. His mouth is considered a moon, so that's 23. And the last one, when Mother Yasoda dresses Krishna every morning, she dips a finger into sandalwood paste and puts a dot on his forehead. So that's the 24th moon. So now you know, 24 and a half moons. So instantly awaking, Vishwanath cried out in ecstasy, "Hey Radhe, hey Radhe, hey Radhe." Having Radharani's darshan infused Visvanatha Chakravarti's writing with divine Shakti, he felt that he had been accepted as one of Srimati Radharani's confidential maidservants. And indeed, his writings reflected this realisation. So I said that he was just chanting and dancing in his courtyard, and everybody is wondering, what's Chakravarti doing? Complete ecstasy, getting Srimati Radharani's direct darshan. So in Krishna Lila, he serves Srimati Radhika as Vinod Manjari. His samadhi is in the Radha Gokulananda temple courtyard in Vrindavan. Shri Pundarika Vidyanidhi appearance, a disciple of Shri Madhavendra Puri. Pundarika Vidyanidhi was Shri Gadadhar Pandit's guru and an intimate friend of Swarup Damodar. Pundarika Vidyanidhi is in Krishna Lila King Vrishabhanu, Shri Radha's father in Vrindavan Lila. Continually floating in the sea of Krishna Prem, Pundarik often showed ecstatic bodily symptoms of tears, horripilation, and falling unconscious. Horripilation is when your hairs stand on end. So it could be out of fear, but for him it's out of ecstasy. When he first arrived in Navadvip, only Mukunda knew that Pundarika Vidyanidhi was a pure Vaishnava. And he invited Gadadhar Pandit to come and meet him. And they found Pundarik reclining on an opulent brass bed covered with red satin sheets and silk pillows and all sorts of opulent paraphernalia, and two servants fanning him. So, was this a Vaishnava or a prince wallowing in luxury? Wondered Gadadhar Pandit. Doubts arose in Gadadhar's mind about Pundarik's spiritual status. But understanding his mind, Mukunda, he decided to reveal that highly exalted transcendental identity of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Mukunda, he began to recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where baby Krishna took the witch Putana's breast milk and awarded her liberation. That was verse 10.6.35. And so hearing this verse totally transformed Pundarika Vidyanidhi. A river of tears flowing from his eyes. He ripped off his silk shirt and wildly thrashed his legs about. His clothes and all his opulent trappings were ripped to shreds, smashed to bits. Finally, his spiritual emotions reached their peak and he lost external consciousness. So after seeing things, Gadadhar Pandit realised actually he misjudged Pundarika Vidyanidhi, and to nullify his offence, he took initiation from Pundarika Vidyanidhi. And so there was another pastime. Pundarik, he, at the beginning, as mentioned in CC Madhya 16.78, purport, when Jagannath Pur beginning of winter, Lord Jagannath is offered the ceremony known as Odana Sasti, and Lord Jagannath is offered a new cloth with winter coming. So generally the guidelines, the Archana Marg, deity worship guidelines, the cloth should be washed to get the starch out. But Pundarika Vidyanidhi, he noticed that the Pujari didn't wash the cloth, brand new, still starch, he put it on Jagannath. And Pundarika Vidyanidhi, he became a bit disturbed and even a bit sort of resentful against the Pujari. And there was somehow or other, he said, since he wanted to find some fault in the devotees, he was thinking, his mind became polluted. But that night, the brothers Lord Jagannath and Balaram appeared and were slapping his cheeks. And the next morning, even though it was in a dream, the next morning his cheeks were red and swollen, but he was in complete ecstasy. As a result, to be chastised directly by Jagannath and Balaram. And from Prabhupada comments, from this incident we can learn that the Lord does not tolerate offences against his servants, and that he chastises any devotee who commits such an offence even within the mind. We can also learn that a pure devotee accepts such chastisement from the Lord with great happiness as a manifestation of the Lord's mercy, of his love and care for his devotees. I remember some years ago in the Jagannath temple near Mayapur, and some devotees were there, and the son of one of the devotees went behind the curtain, like onto the altar where Jagannath was. And the devotees are outside, not really realising. All of a sudden they heard a big slap and a yell. And the boy come out, we were like, being slapped on the cheek. I said, oh, what happened? He said, well, I was playing with Jagannath's nose ring and he slapped me. So he got special mercy. Okay, Sri Raghunandana Thakur appearance. Being called away on medical business, Mukunda Das once asked his young son Raghunandana to offer the Raj Bhog to the family deity of Gopinath. So Raghunandana was just a young boy. So he prepared everything with great devotion. When he made the offering, he remembered his father's order, make sure the deity eats. So he was literally thinking the deity should be eating. So ringing the bell, the simple boy told Gopinath deity, eat. But the deity wasn't eating, he was just sitting on the altar. So he began to cry. And when he saw the untouched food remaining on the deity's plate, so fearing his father's anger that he didn't follow his instruction, and he was just praying, and he had so much devotion in his heart, please, my Lord, please eat, otherwise my father will be angry. And so Gopinath couldn't resist the child's intense devotion, so he immediately got down and started eating everything, leaving nothing. So when his father Mukunda returned, he asked for, Gopinath's Mahaprasad, where is it? Raghunatha said, well, he ate everything. There's nothing left. And so astonished, Mukunda, thinking there's something wrong here. He told his son to make the offering again. But Mukunda, he was like in a hiding, in a hidden place. And again, he saw that Raghunandana, he offered some laddu to Gopinath, and with that same devotion. And so again, Gopinath got down and started eating. And Mukunda was so surprised, and he jumped out. And Gopinath saw that, and immediately he jumped back, but he still had some laddu in his hand. So you see the deity of, sometimes called Laddu Gopal, this young boy on his, on his hands and knees, and he's still got a little bit of laddu in his fingers. So in Krishna Leela, Raghunandana is Kanda Pa Manjari, or sometimes Pajumna of the Chaita Vyuha. His samadhi is in the 64 samadhi area of Vrindavan. Oh, so we got through, but I think I'll end there. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments at all?
Hare Krishna, ecstatic class. When you were mentioning about Raghunatha Das Goswami, he had the incidents with the two tigers drinking at Radha Kund, and Sanatana Goswami seen him taking service from Krishna. Then shortly after that was Srimati Radharani offering her sari to protect him from that brutal heat in Vrindavan, especially at Radha Kund. That shelter there, that's where they say that the Bhajan Kutir first came to play, and now that we travel through India, especially the holy places, Vrindavan, Mayapur, we see so many Bhajan Kutirs. So they said that that's where it originated from, that incident there.
Yeah, as far as I understand, the Bhajan Kutir, wherever it's been replaced or renovated, but where Raghunatha performed his Bhajan. Yeah, so of course these personalities, these are our people. They're coming in the line of Lord Chaitanya, Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So it's by their mercy that we have what we had today. All the books and the philosophy and the holy places. So these are like family. These are our family members. And so if you look in our Gaudiya Vaishnava family tree, these are the personalities we're going to find. So anyway, I went through it very, very briefly, but just due to time. But if you have any time today, it'd be good just to go online and just read about these different personalities, particularly on their appearance, disappearance days, their special blessings, just to focus on them, offering their prayers, getting their blessings. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada. Ki jai.